Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Two Shores, One Story. I'm your host, Matthew, and how are you? I hope you're well. It is the last week of March, and maybe my most exciting week of the entire year because this Thursday, will be my birthday. Whoop whoop. But it is getting a little bit less exciting. I mean, I still like birthdays a lot. I like celebrating other people's birthdays more than my own birthday. But this year will be maybe a big year, an exciting year. And it's a year of transition. Maybe. I am turning 29, which, that's the last year of my 30s. It's a big year. I just did 30s. It's my big year, my last year of my 20s. That's what I want to say. And I will be going into my 30s next year. So I hope I can celebrate the 20s well, the last remainder of the 20s well. I think I can't talk, but I've had an interesting 20s, I think. At the start of my 20s, I was 21 when I was in Japan the last time, 20 turning 21, and now I'm back in Japan, and I was 28, then 29 soon, and then 30. So it's kind of an interesting way to end the 20s, kind of where I started the 20s. And in between that, I finished university, I got a master's, and now I'm an ALT in a rural place in Gifu, and I love it. There's also many other things that I've done, but I can't talk about that. It would be too long, and we have more exciting things to talk about, maybe. But it's always good to reflect. I like to reflect sometimes on how my year's been, what I want to do, and that doesn't have to be just on, New Year's. It can be on your birthday too. Maybe. But this year, this week, I'm just so good with words. This week is not just a transition period for me, but it's a transition period for teachers and kids also. Because this Wednesday, will be the last day of school for the kids. And on Wednesday as well, it will be the last what's it called? The closing ceremony. And then after that, the teachers who are leaving the school will show themselves to the kids. I already know who's leaving, but the kids don't know, so we have to keep it a surprise. But then they leave. It's kind of sad. I really don't like it at all, but it is part of Japanese culture. It happens, so you just have to accept it, but sometimes it's very hard. Last year I had a big change where in my elementary school, 4 of my teachers were no longer there, or they didn't teach English, and instead it was replaced by one teacher who specialized in English, and the start was hard because, she knows what she wants, but I also was, I had a pattern, and that was taken away until I talked to her, and that could happen again because my JTE is leaving. So that's sad. And also this JTA was the best ever. We got along really well, so it's really sad to see them leave. So yeah, but I hope that, and I hope for you, if you're an ALT listening to this and you have a JTE leaving or whatever, that because of, change happens, and it happens a lot in Japan, but we can make it worse, or we can make it better, or about the same if you really want. But to make it better, we can we can talk or use the change in our advantage. I know another ALT, I think his name is Liam, and he was a guest on the podcast because he was turning 30. So that's kind of funny, but he had some advice. And if you are an ALT, you should definitely listen to that podcast because he's a wealth of wisdom. And when a new teacher comes, they don't know what is going on, and that could be used to your advantage. So just tell them what you want. Tell them that, hey, I do the grading, or we could do this, or make a good impression. Tell them that or show them that you want to be active in the classroom, that kind of stuff. So that's what I intend to do. I want to, make a good impression with the next JTE, and I want to do a really great, I want to have a good year with the kids. I want to make English more fun than I did last year. Those are my goals for this year. So I have to first have a good connection with the JTE. That's very important. And also, next in April, it will be the start of the new semester. So maybe you can, sometimes I have troubles with teachers that I've worked with before. So it's also a time to challenge ourselves to improve our situation. Maybe tell them that, hey, I want to read a section of the textbook. Would you let me? I want to be more useful. What can I do? I think that stuff would make our lives a lot better. So I'm going to try, and if you, a new ALT, or you, I don't know, an ALT, not new necessarily, but if you're listening to this and you have not the best situation with your JTEs, try and fix it. Let's challenge ourselves together. Yeah. But yeah, so that's it's going to be a sad, bittersweet time this week, not because of my birthday, but because the teachers will announce, and then there's always kids crying, and honestly, I might cry when I see my JTE do her speech. And then they have a little lineup, and it's called a Hanamichi, a flower road, and they all put their hands up, and the teachers go in between and, say, go walk away from the kids. It's really cool. Someday I might be able to do that too. I don't know. But it's always special, and it's different because, at least in Canada, my teachers have always pretty much been the same. No one's really left. I've known teachers that stayed in school like since I was in elementary school, and they were still elementary school teachers. They don't move. So it's kind of special. It's really, I never really thought about how lucky we were to have teachers that stayed there forever. And that doesn't happen in Japan. They only stay, the max they can stay is 7 years, I think, and then they have to leave. And if you're a new teacher like my JTE, 3 is the max, and then you have to go to a new school. So 375, I think, is a big number in Japan. So it's similar to the kids. I think it's a cultural thing that in Japan, kids that turn 3, 5, and 7 have a milestone, or a little celebration because it's a milestone. But I guess back in the day, the kids may have not made it, at those ages. So now they celebrate it, and there's 3, 5, 7. But in Japan, it's called Shichigo-san, so it's actually backwards, 7, 5, 3. But I don't know when it is, but they have it, and maybe it's the same for schools where there's 3, 5, and 7. So some teachers will leave 5 times after 5 years. Some people have to leave. I mean, there's obviously cases where they leave in between that, maybe, but yeah, it's interesting. Time of transition. But enough about school. Let's talk about me. Yeah, I'm turning 29, and am I doing anything special? Not really. I might have like a dinner, and really, actually, the thing I am doing that I'm counting as part of my birthday celebration, it's not though, is after, the last day, it's the last day of school, so all teachers have a nomikai, a drinking party. So that day, like, you'll walk from your first party to your second party and you'll see teachers. You might see ALTs as well. That's what happened to me last time. So this time I'm excited for that, and I've learned what to do. So for example, I learned to take some time off on the 26th because I will be tired and I don't want to work at 8. So I'm taking a bit of time off until 1, just to, slowly wake up, sleep in, get ready for the day, maybe have a fancy lunch. I don't know. We'll see if my budget allows me. But yeah, so I'm gonna go to a nomikai, and then I'm really excited because I always like to go to karaoke after, and I really, really, really want to go. I hope my teachers will go with me. We'll see. We shall see. But yeah, I'm turning 29. So I don't really have anything special to say, but this is a year of transition. As I said, I'm turning 30. I'm not 20, whatever. I'm going to be a 30, which is kind of terrifying. But I know I do like kind of, I'm like, oh, I'm turning 30. Oh my gosh. But it's not really that big of a deal turning 30. I think that, I said this before, I actually said this in Liam's episode, because he was turning 30, that we do so much in our 20s. For example, in my own life, I went to university, went to graduate study, did other things in between, and now I'm in jet. So, the later point of my 20s, I'm slowing down a little bit. I have a job. I'm staying in a place longer than a few years, maybe. It's 3 years, so I guess the longest I've been somewhere was, for university for sure. But we do so much, we get so busy, and I think in our 30s, we slow down, we have a job, or we're getting a job that will, we want to be in. Some people in their 30s are getting married, or maybe they're getting married before, and it's a time of, I think it's still, we're still young, for sure. We're still young, but we're stable. We know what to do. If that makes sense. So I think it's going to be fun. We'll see. I'll let you know when I'm turned 30. I hope that I can maintain my energy. Most times I'm tired and I just have to nap. But when I go out, for example, yesterday I went to this, by the time of recording this, it's Sunday, not Saturday, but yesterday on Saturday, I went to a nomikai with some futsal friends. And I went to karaoke, and I didn't drink anything because I had to drive to go back home. But I was full of energy. I was, dancing, talking with other people, and it was great. I really don't need alcohol to become a party Matthew. So it was just fun. And I hope that I can maintain that in my 30s. I think I can. We'll see. Most times, I'm so mature. It's just sometimes it's just nice to let loose a little bit. Sing and just talk to people and dance. And it was really fun yesterday. There was this big group of people around my age, I think. And I put on a song. I don't know the song name, but it's from Begin. It's an Okinawa band, and it's a karaoke classic, because people can interact and they do the whistle, and there's a little chant that you can do. So it's just fun. It's a fun song to do. And so the person from the group, he's like, "Oh, I know this song." And I'm like, "Let's sing together." So we just sang. And after it was my last song, so I, gave them all a high five, hugged some people. It was just funny. So it's just interesting how that happens, especially in Japan. But they're letting loose. It's a long weekend. And the spring equinox is actually a holiday in Japan. So the Friday was, a day off. So everyone's enjoying their time. It was really fun, really great. And then speaking of letting loose, even though I'm turning 29 and I'm on the cusp of turning 30, the next day, the following day after my birthday, I wanted to have a Harry Potter movie night because my elementary school teacher has been showing the kids Harry Potter, and I am interested in watching the movies again. The first time I watched Harry Potter movies was actually when I was in university, because I wasn't allowed to read or watch Harry Potter as a kid because it had witchcraft. And honestly, I'm okay with that. I think people that maybe watched or read Harry Potter as kids became really, really obsessed with Harry Potter. And because I never read it as a kid, I think I got out of that like pretty easily. I don't, it's a good book, it's good literature, but it's not something that I'm super obsessed about. So thanks, Mom and Dad, for that. But I was in a children's literature class and I had to read the first book. So my friend told me that I had to read all of the books, which was a lie, but I did. So I asked my cousin if I could borrow them, and she let me, and I read all of them. And yeah, they're good, and I enjoyed the movies, so I'm going to watch them again. We're going to watch the second movie, because I watched the first movie. I have to finish it, though, because they didn't finish it, but I'll do that on Thursday, maybe. And then a few of my friends that I invited will be watching Harry Potter, the second movie, and that's for Friday. And that's my plans. So I'm not really doing anything exciting this week, but there are stuff coming up. So Harry Potter, and I might go traveling in April. I'm going to see twice at the end of April. So I'm excited. I think it'll be good. So I don't really have anything else to talk about, but I hope if you're an ALT, I hope you're transitioning well. I hope, none of your favorite teachers are leaving. It's always really hard when that happens. But because we have English showers, for those who don't know, our area has English showers and English days. So there are some chances for us to go back to schools, and that way we can see our teachers. So last time I went to school and I got to see my one of my JTs that I had at elementary school, and that was really great. So it's not really goodbye. It is, and it isn't. So I hope your transition goes well. I hope your last day goes well. I hope that you aren't desk warming too much in or during spring break. And I hope you have if you're doing anything fun, I hope it's great. For those who aren't ALTs, I hope you're enjoying your spring break too. If that is happening, I hope it's getting warmer. In some areas of Japan, the sakura, the cherry blossoms, are blooming. They're not yet bloomed in Takayama, but they will be in April or May. So I'm very excited to see them. So I will leave it here. And until then, I will see you later.